Had you ever seen anything like that?
No, not at all. Usually the pond looks very healthy.
What is your reaction to seeing that?
Well, it's extremely alarming.
Go ahead, get on out. Get on out. It's okay. There you go.
Hundreds of fish have turned up dead, prompting an urgent warning.
Residents were shocked to see hundreds of dead fish washing up in front of their homes. They include mullet, trevally, bream, snapper and even crabs.
There's so many of them around. We were just walking and there was about 50 of them just over on a concrete pillar over there.
I think it's disgusting. We have a lot of people that come down here to do local fishing. They might be poisoning their children if they take the fish home.
The Charles Sturt Council's rapid response team was on the scene to take away the dead fish. PIRSA and biosecurity inspectors are testing water samples, but they believe a natural phenomenon is to blame.
Still conditions, warm conditions over the last week. There's not much water flow through here at all. The water is murky, so it's likely algal blooms as well, and that drops the dissolved oxygen pretty low.
Inspectors warn anyone that catches live fish in West Lakes not to eat them because they may contain a toxic algae.
If you're seeing a fish kill, the smart thing to do is don't go in the water. Could be a very slight chance that there's an algae bloom that might cause a rash.
It's likely West Lakes will have to be flushed with seawater. Peter Caldecott, 7 News.
Disturbing discovery, that is, at a local park. People living near Colonial Manor Lake Park in Miramar, they've seen and smelled hundreds of dead fish.
Take a look. Dead fish just floating to the surface. These photos were snapped Friday. News4JAX reporter Eric Avigné is live at the park. Eric, a marine biologist believes he knows what killed them.
That is correct. Bear in mind that air temperatures were very warm on Thursday and Friday. These fish were discovered on Friday. But even though the air temperatures were very warm, water temperatures at this lake remain very cold as a result of the frigid weather that we had earlier in the week. And this biologist that I spoke to says that it was more than just cold water that contributed to the deaths of those fish.
Colonial Manor Lake Park always looks so calm and serene, but if you take a closer look, you'll see what neighbors living along this lake have been seeing since Friday. Hundreds of dead fish floating at the surface, while ducks and other birds appear to be unharmed.
Had you ever seen anything like that?
No, not at all. Usually the pond looks very healthy.
What is your reaction to seeing that?
Well, it's extremely alarming.
Many are asking if this is the result of the weather.
I'm disappointed, amazed, and wonder why. You mentioned maybe the weather, but it's not been that cold.
And she's right. Thursday and Friday were much warmer compared to earlier in the week, according to Dr. Quentin White, who is a professor of biology and marine science at Jacksonville University. Cold weather at the beginning of last week did play a role in killing the fish, but he says they didn't exactly freeze to death.
Because of the cold weather, even though it got warmer for a little while during the day, the water is still very cold. When you get warm weather like that, we sometimes get what we call lake turnover, and it brings up the oxygen-depleted water from the bottom to the surface, and that'll kill the fish.
Meaning the fish likely died from oxygen deprivation.
Now back here live, you're looking at one of those fish that is just floating there. There's quite a few that's scattered about that we see floating in the water even tonight. Of course, if the temperatures were much warmer, you wouldn't just see these fish, you'd probably smell them as well. Reporting live, Eric Avignon, Channel 4, the local station.
Big boy. You're okay. It's okay. There you go. That's good. What do you think? Think it'll get you better? Yeah, it'll be fine.
Tristes y a la vez los sentimos impotentes ante una causa que los está agobiando, lo voy a decir así porque somos productores y está dañando lo que es la vida acuática del río, la fauna silvestre, a raíz de las aguas mieles, el cual nosotros sabemos que el mayor contaminante es nuestro país vecino, que es Guatemala.
Sabemos perfectamente que el sector empresarial de Esquipulas, el sector vinculado a la producción de café, está relacionado con esta situación, en particular las industrias que están ahí, y lo que tenemos realmente es un verdadero impacto ambiental provocado por una industria particular que afecta a poblaciones de Guatemala, Honduras y El Salvador. Los responsables son el sector industrial cafetalero de los 3 países y en tal sentido debemos sentarlos a ellos a resolver este problema.
It's one of the rarest things I've ever heard of.
It was another overcast and windy winter day in Draper when a not-so-normal thing happened.
As I was driving, these birds just were falling out of the sky.
Lacey Brown was one of the people who saw things firsthand.
They were all on the ground right around here and along the roadway. They were just falling out of the sky like leaves.
But they weren't leaves. They were hundreds of small birds called starlings. And like most birds, starlings like to flock.
You've seen that black cloud as it's flying all over the place. Well, that's a starling group, and they call that flying tandem or murmuring.
Experts say it's a technique they use to stay warm in the wintertime and to ward off birds of prey.
So what would cause hundreds of birds to fall from the sky? Some people are saying aliens. Others are saying maybe it was lightning or they were poisoned. But in this circumstance, none of those are the case.
No aliens, no cloaking device, no poison. It's just one of those freak things that the birds were just flying along, crashed into the side of a large vehicle, and boom.
Whether it be misdirection or weather-related, something caused the lead starling to crash, and thanks to the breed's tandem flying, the rest followed.
So I pulled over to help because I noticed some of them were not dead.
Lacey says she saw one man shoveling the birds out of the road. Draper Animal Services was also there clearing the animals and collecting the ones that were still alive.
Yeah, it was not a sight for the faint of heart.
It was weird, just a weird one.